Welcome to Fostering Godlike Sexuality at Home. Our goal here is to empower parents to teach their children to see sex in a godlike way.
My name is Brigham Elton. I'm a pornography and sexual addiction counselor who've helped thousands of people overcome even the appeal of pornography. And I'm hoping to get out in front of this and try to help parents to set up their homes to chase godlike sexuality from the beginning.
My name's Andrea, a mother of 4, and I'm learning alongside all you listeners and excited to have these discussions. Thanks for joining us. All right, so today for our podcast, we're really excited to go through a list of questions that came out of a women's conference that we had the opportunity to teach at. We didn't have a chance to go through these questions there in the class for time, and we thought it would be awesome to just bring them here to the podcast and go through them, try and hit as many as we can, and answer some of these.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so the first one that I want to hit, we kind of talked about this in the class that we taught, but the question is how best to talk to our kids about sex and not increase their curiosity.
Yeah.
And hopefully if you've listened to this for a while now, you will know that like our answer to that is curiosity about sex is a good thing. That's something we want to celebrate. We want to be a part of. We want to we do not want to avoid curiosity.
Yeah. And I think sometimes parents have this fear that well, I'm going to tell them about this and then they're going to do whatever, you know?
Like they're going to look something up.
Yeah. And honestly, I hear stories about that.
Yeah.
Not very often, honestly, really rarely, but I would say maybe 1% of first exposures, kind of a parent told them about something and then they went and they searched that word on the internet.
Yeah.
You know?
And really, if it wasn't a parent that had told them, it would have been something they heard at school that would have led to the same thing. So as a parent, we don't need to be worried that I really don't believe we need to be worried we're going to increase their curiosity in a way that's damaging.
So every one of those stories that I've heard where it started with a parent taught and then the kid chose to search something, the parents were told within a month, which is a really tight turnaround.
Yeah.
And so even though, you may have initiated some curiosity, you also established yourself as the anchor of their education.
Yeah.
You know? And so I would totally take my kid searching up something on the internet if they came to me within a month. I would sign me up for that right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so it is, I understand that it's scary as a parent, you know, but honestly, I would want to support and propel their curiosity in the right lanes.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, the next question we had here was how to best keep kids safe from predators, whether that's online or in person.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence that a kid who there's actually some significant studies and multiple of them that show that if a kids know the right term for their genitalia, that it'll actually scare predators off if they use the right terms. If a kid will actually say
penis or vulva.
Then a predator will be a little, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the best thing that you can do for them is become their sexual educating anchor.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not super helpful, in my opinion, to overprotect.
Right.
This kid is God put us at a place where we would experience darkness because it actually propels us towards light, you know? And so you can't stop it all.
Right.
I think understand that as a parent, that this is kind of part of the world we live in, but it is not a damning experience.
Right.
It can be an experience that propels someone towards godliness.
Yeah.
You know, even though I know that it's freaking scary and painful and no one wants it for their child.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways that parents will choose to talk to their kids about body safety and the difference between a secret versus a surprise or you can always come and talk to us even if someone threatens you. They will share those conversations. And also it's a lot to put on our kids that they keep themselves safe, I think.
Totally.
Things are going to happen even with our best efforts. And so being that anchor point of as a sexual educator, being a place of openness and believing that there's healing and there's a path forward from unsafe situations, is as important as trying to keep them safe.
Yeah, because I think if I see my child as this experience happens to them and now their life is kind of damned forever, then my emotional response is giant.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you're right. If I can see that, okay, this is a step on the path to godliness.
Yeah.
Like, I think it makes it a lot easier. Like, even with pornography, like, to me, like, when my kid chooses to engage with pornography for the first time, like, I'm not going like, oh no, this person's life is over. They're a porn addict, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going like, all right, this is part of the step. Like, this
part
is
of the
part of
growth.
the process to becoming like God.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome. Do you want to read the next one?
How to handle kids' curiosity without passing your own issues from purity culture. So let's start by kind of defining purity culture.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So purity culture is just this concept that like we grow up in this culture where sex is a dangerous, scary, bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's something that needs to be controlled or avoided or that it could get you.
That being good is just not doing bad things.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of this idea, right? Like being good isn't really about doing godly things. It's mainly about not doing the bad things.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like such a fear of doing something wrong, right? Like that's what I would call purity culture. The truth is you're going to pass some of your own issues with purity culture.
Absolutely.
And it's better that you did that than if you said nothing, because that would pass that purity culture even worse. You know? And so like one of the main things I would say is like, talk about it.
Engage in that curiosity.
Engage in that curiosity and like, oh yeah, that's like, let me tell you what you think, and be a listener. Like, try not to be a teacher, especially if a kid is an initiator of that conversation. Like, you should barely teach at all. You know, like that's a moment to just be like, oh yeah, what do you think about that? You know?
Let them kind of work through.
Yeah.
What their thoughts are.
And then if they're thinking, they're not reading you and picking up your culture, you know?
Okay.
And so like, especially when they initiate something, right? Or if they came forward and like a kid came and told me that like, hey, like I've been choosing to seek these kind of images, or a little kid came and was like, so-and-so on the bus was trying to touch my bum. Like I wouldn't go to teach mode.
Right.
Like, it's just like, oh, really?
How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. How did you feel about it? Yeah. You know, like, what made you decide to come and tell me?
Yeah.
You know, like, I would just be trying to, like, learn about them. Yeah. And you'll notice that that'll give your emotions time to, like, settle. And not be this, like, I
love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, this one. How to handle when you think your kids are touching themselves improperly. So we hit this in the masturbation podcast pretty strongly, right? And
just recently too.
Yeah. Just a quick overview would be that like how you respond to the way they touch themselves is going to influence the way that they feel about sex and their bodies. Yeah. And so if you want them to feel good about their bodies and you want them to feel excited for and anticipating sex, then the way that you respond needs to reflect that.
Yeah. I just would look at your definition of improperly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was inappropriate, improperly. Improperly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean to you?
What about your kids touching do you think is improper?
Yeah. And like at what point does it become improper? You know? And then I would, like, as we talked about in the masturbation, like the title of the episode was self-touch post-puberty.
Yeah.
You know, like I would go hit that again. And a lot of it is just like, this is a behavior I wouldn't make a ton of effort to correct.
Yeah.
Would be my advice.
We're shaping values and beliefs rather than focusing on policing specific behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, how do you handle conversations about healthy sex after your child had a sexual abuse experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's for them or like they witnessed it or
Yeah, exactly.
This is such a hard one. Obviously, you want to provide support for your kid in whatever kind of, at whatever level of trauma this experience was for them.
Yeah.
Right? A place where they are able to like work through what that experience was like.
Totally.
But on top of that, our conversations still want to aim at sex is meant to make us like God.
Yeah.
And that's its ultimate goal. And here and in this space, like that wasn't what sex is really about and meant to be.
Yeah. I think honestly, like we had a drowning experience with my daughter this last year, and like very traumatic for a lot of our family, you know, like with hospital trips and no pulse. It was just a lot, you know? And like, you want, like, I was like, okay, like, especially coming from the therapeutic lane, I'm like, we've got to process this. Let's get going. And like, yeah, we made a lot of efforts at the beginning. But like, one thing I would like to remind parents is that like, you're not going to fix it today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Processing takes time.
Yeah. And especially for a child, it's going to come in layers. You know?
Yeah. It's going to mean something different to them now than it is in 4 years when they look back on it. And then 10 years again when they're married.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I would just allow space, but like, this is even more a place where like you want to be a heavy influence on their perception of what sex is by being super verbal, and if you're wanting them to eventually be verbal about their experience, which will really help them process it and like pack it away in a healthy way, then you've got to be a crazy speaker about it. Just like talk about it, talk about what sex is, what it means, how you feel about your own body, how you feel about sex, how you're using sex in your life. Like, you've got to be so open so that there's a chance to compete with this like heavy memory.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hard though. Like, and
Super
really,
hard.
especially when it's in like if it's with someone they're going to have to see consistently for a long time.
Yeah. Family
like,
relationship.
That is a place where I would try to hedge that relationship a little bit, like we have relationships
Give some distance
even
and
in
space.
our own family. Yeah. And like where I will try to be with my person when they're with that person so that they're not really there by themselves and they can have like a cushion there, And so like, for example, like I know I had this family where like this girl was abused by her uncle. But then like there were years went by, but now they're like had some like relationship again, and just like not like being there to kind of cushion that relationship can really be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of leaving that person by themselves.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next question. This one says, my child, who's 3 or 4, found my vibrator. How do I explain that?
Yeah.
These are moments that as parents we go, oh, I don't know,
Yeah.
we kind of freeze up. And if you freeze up, then I'd just be like, oh yeah, I want to tell you about that later. Like give yourself some space and some time to come up with how you want to address it. If it's not a situation that you feel comfortable jumping into right then, but then again, like quick and short and something that points to sex as a good thing, right? Like that's just something that mom and dad use when we want to connect sexually that helps us like use our bodies the way we want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And like, again, the kid's not going, oh, this is a vibrator.
Yeah.
The kid's just like, what is this?
Yeah. It doesn't need you don't have to give it a name.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. And so like, I remember that the emotional weight to this moment is mainly yours.
Yeah.
Like it's not really theirs. And they probably won't remember it unless you place emotional weight on it and
Of
start
like,
to like hubba like fumble
avoid
over
it.
it.
And
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're just like, oh, let's talk about that later. Like maybe that might give it a little bit of emotional weight, but not a ton.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh yeah, that's something that mom and dad use to sexually connect, like then like you can get some great responses to something like that.
Yeah. Maybe they'll go, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You're like, dad and I have sex and that's one way that we connect.
Yeah.
If they're super young and you haven't talked to them about sex yet, like we like to be close and it's a way that we show love. And this is just something that helps us with that as adults.
Semi-recently, my daughter went into our bathroom and there was the condom on top of the trash, and she's like, Mom, what's this balloon? And my wife's like, oh, that's a condom, and then Charlotte's like, what is that for? And she's like, oh, it's something that mom and dad and I use to connect sexually. And she's like, oh, good for you guys. Thunk. That's it. And like there's a couple good things that happened here that my wife did. One is like let her ask the next question. You can just say like, oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then this like, yeah, this is what it is, very simply. And I think that like honestly, like that's so processed in my daughter's mind, like that's never gonna be a big moment. Like she won't remember that.
Right.
And that's but she will remember this feeling that like sex is good.
Yeah.
And not sex is
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
People say it's best to teach your kids when they ask questions. I feel like I've answered their questions, but it may have been too soon. Help.
I wonder, what do you think parents are thinking when they think maybe I answered or taught something that too soon? Why do you think that parents would think that?
I think the kids mentally disengage and you watch it happen. You like kind of see their brain go like off into left field and they're like, oh wow, I talked too much or I'm teaching too much or whatever, Yeah. And so I think because you lost your child's attention, you think that you overspoke.
Okay.
I would assume you underspoke and you need to re-hit it again. It's just like, hey, like honestly, like especially you probably overspoke for the moment, but probably underspoke about the topic. And so I think
in like a broader, like overarching in your parenting.
And so come back to the question. Like if the kid asked the question about like, hey, where do babies come from? Let's say, like I would come back and be like, hey, remember when you asked me this? I just have something else I want to tell you.
Yeah.
And then tell another layer. And like you have 15 seconds of their attention, maybe 20.
Yeah.
Then you're done.
Yeah.
And like then you can do it again another week. Remember that question we talked about? I have something else I want to tell you. Come back. Like, or you could do more formal sit down and then have something to look at, which like this would be more of like one of the formal talk conversations, which there are some episodes about that as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Okay. Resources to help a son who struggles with being a horny teenager.
Yeah. The first thing I would say is like, we've already labeled a kid's sexual desire as bad.
Problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Which to me, that's the danger here.
Uh-huh.
Like more than anything is like, he's seeing this part of him as bad. It is innate within him. And so he is then connecting with that as I'm bad.
Yeah.
Which is now, if he's bad, then he's allowed to do bad things. Right. And so like all of this path is like, and it starts with this, I think sexual desire is bad.
Right. Yeah.
And like, that's the first place to attack. Like
Okay,
I would check out this fostering a positive perspective of sex from the August 2020 Ensign.
Yeah.
And like in that, there's this quote from Parley P. Pratt, and he talks about what sexual desire is and what it means.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a great place to like where I would that's my first place I would go.
And like if you're a parent who maybe this has been a common thing, like, oh yeah, you're just a horny teenager. That's a message that you consistently sent or bought into or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that can be corrected. You know, you can go be like, hey, look, I've been thinking this, and I just know that like this is hard for you, and you've talked to me about it, or we've talked about it, and I really haven't like taught you the way that I really think is important, which is that like this is a godly part of you. Nothing's gone wrong. Yeah, your hormones are up and down, but that's the way that it's meant to be right now. And you're learning, and this is an important part of your development.
And like as a parent, I know that like my children are going to get this message, and my daughters are going to get messages that men are horny teenagers, and the men are going to get messages that they're horny teenagers. And like I want to pre-hedge against that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, look, I know you're going to hear this. I want you to know that I think that's baloney.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I don't think that's actually real.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there even can be some hedging against that. Now, then with this, your child has been given a kind of get after it horse that they have to learn to bridle.
Yeah.
And so like, and bridling at the beginning, especially with the horse that's you're breaking and is brand new, is like, you're all over the map and you're just doing your best to try to keep it in line.
Totally.
You know, and so I would give space for that, but I would also be teaching skills for how can I keep aiming my sexual desire at partnership and godly intimacy instead of attention and temporary intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe some of that parallel, like here's what the world offers in intimacy, like a fake version of intimacy.
Yeah.
Here's what God is pulling us towards or inviting us to.
Yeah.
The more you can as a teenager, like let your mind think about and consider this godly way, the less that this stuff will feel like this. It's just whipping you around.
Yeah, but you have no control over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Is providing kids with contraceptives encouraging them to have sex? I wouldn't use the word encouraging. It's like, I think it is giving a little, like allowing a little, you know? But I mean,
is allowing.
I want my kids knowing how to get contraceptives.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I don't know if I really would give them to my children, but I would make sure my child know where condoms are in our house. That like these are available, I guess. Like, yeah, this is where I keep condoms.
Yeah.
You know?
So then if they are like, oh, I want to choose that.
Then they would
know
like
where
them
to
to
go
do
get
so
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I would be like, look, if you ever want to get one, they're at gas stations. Like, this is where you would purchase one.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I would throw in there, like, I don't think your brain, body, and heart and spirit are ready for sex.
that. Yeah.
You know? But if you're going to, like, there are some things you can do to minimize some risk.
Yeah.
You cannot minimize the emotional risk. You cannot minimize the social risk. Like,
Spiritual,
I mean, there is some things you can do, I guess, by choosing a partner, but like, there's risk there no matter what.
Right.
But like, you can minimize your pregnancy risk, and you can minimize your like STD risk if you put this on before you have oral, manual, or vaginal sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, do I provide? I think sounds a little bit more like forthcoming than I want to be.
Like, hey, here you go. Just in case you choose this, this is for you.
Yeah, I do, but I do want to be like, okay, like, yeah, this is
how you access it.
Yeah, like if you ever needed one, this is where they are, and you could come get it.
Yeah.
You know.
And I would probably also want to share the message, like, I hope if you choose sex, you give yourself time to actually choose it, right?
Yeah.
And like use the protection that you want to use.
Yeah.
Before you have a sexual encounter.
Yeah, because even if they like, let's say they had to walk up from the basement to my room to grab one and then go back down, at least that gives them like a minute to process, you know, that's not just in the heat, you know, or if they have to drive to a gas station and buy one, at least there's some more level of choice there, you know, which, I like.
Is a healthier version. Yeah. Okay, should you share your premarital sex experience with your kids as a lesson, even if it worked out? Or will it suggest that it's okay to do and it'll work out? So this kind of is this like, hey, do we talk about our mistakes? Or is that in a way to help our kids like see either learn from our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And maybe not repeat them, or does that enable them to think like, oh, these mistakes don't matter and I can
Yeah.
enter into them?
Honestly, like I mean, the don't matter thing, like, but I want them to believe it's going to work out even if they choose to have sex.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, like I want my child to believe with so much fervor that like if I choose to have sex with someone, like I don't think it's the most godly choice, but it can still work out for me and I
Yeah.
can still end up godly,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And like I'm not beyond the reach, even though it might be painful,
Yeah.
you know? And so like I wouldn't hide it, you know? I probably would like promote sharing it, you know? And I would say maybe this is your belief, maybe it's not, but if your belief is I wish I would have waited, you know?
Yeah.
But it did work out for us. Like I think that is
an
okay.
important, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can do this too in layers where you don't even have to share a full sexual experience, but like we've all made mistakes or made choices with our sexuality that were less than godly.
Yep.
And I think sharing some of those is a great way for our kids to feel like, oh, it's okay that like I am not perfect in all of these areas.
Totally.
And mom or dad are sharing this and saying like, oh yeah, like once I like was really excited to make out with a guy and I hardly even knew him. And looking back, I'm like, that was like not the greatest choice. Like I wasn't really looking for a relationship there. I was just trying to feel better about myself, which isn't what sex is really about.
Yeah.
Like that's a great message for a kid to give that doesn't have to say like, you don't have to share every piece of baggage if you don't want to, but I think sharing some amount of your mistakes is really, really healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Is sex ed in schools bad? It's not very good, but it's like it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, like I think if parents think that that's going to fulfill the need for a child to get the sexual information they need,
then
you are
it's bad.
solely mistaken. Sorely mistaken. Yeah. But it is not like I don't think it's bad. Like I don't think
it's worth avoiding.
Yeah. I'm actually a little more hesitant. Like there's a school in our area that chooses not to do it. And I am like a little like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know? And so like it's a little more weird to me that it doesn't happen than it is weird to me. It's not that good. Let's be real. You know, but at least
when you say it's not that good though, you're not saying like there's something wrong with it. You're
Yeah.
saying it's not a full picture of what you want for your kids.
But
sexual education. And it's not the full like the best setting all the time for them.
But it does give some information, and sometimes it gets parents talking about it. And so
Yeah.
like I think it's a good thing. Like
Yeah.
I am pro public school or private school or whatever sex ed.
Sex ed, yeah. Absolutely. I think also too it is healthy for kids who are already talking about it with their peers to be hearing other adults talk about it in their peer groups, right?
Yeah.
If they're sitting with their friends in health class learning about sex there, I think that should at least parallel what they're going to joke about or watch or listen to with music that has sexual content.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
okay. Let's see this next one. How do I explain to my 12-year-old what it is to have a girlfriend in a healthy way?
Yeah. Honestly, like I want to teach how powerful commitment is. You know? And like I don't know like if I to my 12-year-old am I going like, "Hey, this is a healthy way to have a girlfriend," you know? I want to be involved and know what's going on in my kids' world and like what percentage of kids are going out or whatever it is called that has a crush or whatever it is at that time, you know? But like I want to be consistently teaching commitment is a powerful part of relationship.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons we're so bonded, daughter to husband to father or whatever with my child is like we're there for each other every day.
Yeah.
I see you every day. I'm here every day. You know, and like there's just power in like being there, you know? Yeah. And like when you look at your relationships, your closest relationships are the people who are constantly there for you. Mm-hmm. And then it goes down from that, you know? And so like if I'm going to share a very close, intimate part of me with someone, I want it to be with someone that I believe is going to be consistently there for me.
I love that. So like if this question is kind of coming from like, let's say a 12-year-old that already has a girlfriend and you're like, okay, like let's talk about what this means to you.
Yeah.
Like that would be a great,
I love that.
Great way to talk about it.
I love that.
Know?
What is it like? What is it to have a girlfriend?
Yeah. What does having a girlfriend mean to you? And they're like, well, I don't know. Like, oh, Well, it would be an important thing for you to know then what
Yeah.
you're committing to when you say that I'm their boyfriend and she's my girlfriend.
Totally.
And I think a lot of kids are just like riding the wave of what culture says, do this is awesome.
Yeah.
And as parents, we can say like, then we can share like, when I was a kid, this is what it meant for a
Yeah.
lot of my friends. And I remember, the first time I had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, like I wanted my boyfriend or girlfriend to know that I was really there for them or whatever. We can share just kind of some of those shaping beliefs and helping them to start forming values around what that means.
This is kind of a tangent of this, but it came to my mind, and so maybe it's for this person. But like, I would try to previously have my social boundaries exist so they don't have to change when my child gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
Okay. So if they
You
have
know?
like a social boundary of like, oh no, you can't hang out with just a girl or a guy one-on-one.
Yeah, or like one of ours will be like in rooms, just like one of ours currently is like, you're not allowed to shut doors. Like with play, you're not allowed to shut doors. Like doors need to stay open unless you're in the bathroom, and if your bathroom, you got to be in there by yourself,
Yeah.
And so like, that'll be a rule. That's also going to be a rule when my kids are dating, it'll also be a rule that no kids go in bedrooms. Like that's just going to be like, that's it. You don't go in a private bedroom. It's just against the rules now and ever. It's like, we don't keep toys in our kids' private rooms.
Private rooms, yeah.
And so
Thinking through those boundaries ahead of time and just establishing them.
Yeah, and it's better if you can just keep them consistent whether they're single or not. Otherwise it seems like, well, you just don't want me to connect with this person, and it's like, okay, it's not aimed at them.
Yeah.
It's like aimed at your safety, but anyway.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anything to look for when choosing a therapist to help you moving forward? It sounds like this is a mom who's like looking for a therapist. Yeah, so some things that I would tell you when someone looks for a therapist, one thing is like, don't ever just go meet one.
Yeah.
Like I try to push people who come to meet me like, hey, go see a couple people. Like, I want you to be like, for sure, this is the best one for me.
Yeah.
Like, and if you are later going to go like, I didn't date around enough, like, do that now. Like, at least see 3, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, at least give yourself at least a framework of who do I connect with.
Awesome.
I would, the consistent patterns I see among the best therapists I know, they have their own private practice.
Okay.
They are really busy and it's hard to get into them.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
And it sucks if you have to wait an extra month to get in.
But that could be
worth it.
Yeah.
Because, like, in my opinion, 20% of therapists are awesome. 80% of therapists are kind of meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, finding somebody that wants to help you feel empowered to choose to move forward in your life.
Yeah.
Rather than to spend too much focused time backwards and feeling stuck or victimized by your past can be an awesome
love
thing.
that. Love that. Like, I mean, I want someone who gives me assignments and skills moving forward, not just let me process my past.
Yeah, let me just come and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Top 3 things to not mess up your kids and what to do when you or they are struggling.
Wow.
So that's kind of like a big, broad question.
Yeah.
And I guess in the context of this class, we were talking about teaching your kids about sex. So maybe like top 3 things that we want to do to help our kids like be sexually successful.
I do want to throw out one that's like maybe not super sexually connected, but I honestly would say it is like when individuals do not see themselves as the choosers of their lives,
Yeah.
they have a really hard time controlling their life because they don't think they're in charge of it. And so like more than anything, I want my child to like believe that they are the god of their life. That like I get to make my life what I want it to be. I'm the chooser. I'm a powerful chooser. Like that's so like more than anything, I want my child to believe that they can freaking do it.
Yeah. So like a belief in themselves as a chooser, that their life can be directed because of that power to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went camping recently and we like were canoeing and we canoed around this bay, and my daughter saw this little path and was like, "Oh, I wonder if I could hike that path and then make it back to our camp." And I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, I want to try." I'm like, "Great." And she was by herself with a dog, and they like went, and they weren't very far, and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to go, and if in 30 minutes, first she said an hour, they said, wait, maybe 30 minutes. If I'm not at camp, come back to this cove and find me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, great. And now I came back, my wife was like, that seems a little risky. And I'm like, yeah, but more than anything, I want her to believe that I believe in her.
Yeah.
And if she believes that she can do it, like, I want to support that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that I believe that if she gets partway through and doesn't feel like she can do it, that she knows how to turn around and come back and find us and get support from us. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And so, like, with all of this, like, more important than that my child makes good choices, it's that my child believes that they can choose.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, that's what I would want to exist more than anything, is that, like, I believe in your ability to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the way this kind of shows up sexually too is just like, therefore, we give you information,
Yeah.
right? Therefore, we share our values, but we encourage you to build your own.
Yeah. You're back to this, like,
Yeah.
we are involved in the value creation instead of policing behavior.
Yeah. Awesome.
Because when we police behavior, we kind of send this message that, like, you might not be the best chooser, so let me tell you what to choose.
Totally. Which I do that, sadly,
Yeah.
too often with my kids. But like, yeah, utilizing your partner to like get feedback, I think is a great one. Like, hey, I'm struggling with the kid in this way, and interacting with them or supporting them. Oftentimes I find that like our partners, they can then step in and like meet
Have a
those
different
needs differently.
viewpoint.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Another thing I would say that, like, and this one's a little more like sexually aimed, you know, is that, like, yeah, they're so capable of getting there. And more than anything, like, you want the openness to exist, you know? And so, like, I would be doing everything I can to just be open about my sexual processing. And I think that, like, that way, that fuels a pattern of openness,
I love that.
you know? Yeah.
Something that came to my mind just as I was thinking about what you had shared, like, I want my kids to know that I believe in them. I'm taking that back and going, then I need to believe in them.
Yeah.
You know, and so if as a parent, that's some work that you need to do of like, I want to believe that my kids can make it, that like their mistakes don't define them, that they can learn, that they can grow, that they can choose, be the chooser of their life.
Yeah.
Like you shaping that belief first is then going to drip into your parenting.
One thing that would like to become a mantra for our home is like hurt, not damaged, you know? And like, I freaking believe in my kids getting hurt. I want them to get hurt, you know? And like, yeah, I want to prevent damage to the best of my ability, you know? But like, if my kid gets hurt, I think that's awesome for them.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher, you know?
Okay.
Are church resources also based on scientific research about what is healthy for kids? Yeah, they are. They're like mainly done by like BYU professors more than anything. You know, they are. Honestly, I would say the church is a little like on the back end of the research, which they are with most things.
Right.
You know, is they're just like they're a little more temperate.
They're not going to be on the very front. They're not going to grasp onto the latest and greatest until there's been time to see the results of that evolution, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that's a little frustrating for me individually, but like, yeah, they're a little slow, but they are like, but it is based on scientific.
Yeah, that's the intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The intent is to be on the back end.
Yeah.
Not the front leading edge.
Okay, how to share that mistakes are okay and not to shame without making it seem like nothing matters. So the question here, it sounds like, how do we say that like mistakes are okay and nothing to be ashamed about, but I also don't want them to think that
I can just do it, it's
that
fine.
you can just do whatever you want without regard to their consequences.
To me, like, this starts with a mindset that's a little bit like checkboxy, like that Jesus is going to take a list of all the good things we did and all the bad things we did and then measure them, and then whichever one has more in it is going to win. You know, like it seems like it's very like task measured to have this kind of mindset, you know? And I think like, again, if the goal is like in my home, the goal is that my child becomes as godly as possible. Honestly, a lot of that is failure. Like a lot of becoming like God is like, I failed and I learned and now I know what to do in the future, you know? And so like, I think if that is like the overarching presence of your home, then like, I think a lot of this works itself out.
Totally.
Where it's like, yeah, this is like, it's a slip on the path and it's part of the path, you know?
Yeah.
Were you trying? You know?
Yeah.
And like, I think sometimes that trying becomes a little more important than succeeding, you know? And like, yeah, like my child, like, you know what? I'm really struggling with masturbation. It's like, all right, like, cool. Are you trying? You know?
Yeah.
Then like, great, good for you.
How
Like,
are
if
you
you're
working
trying to
on
be
it? Yeah.
godly, then great. You know? I'm struggling with pornography. Like, okay, like, are you trying? Then great, awesome. Like, trying is the key to the gospel more than it's like even succeeding.
Right.
you know, and like eventually you will be successful. That's like the freaking purpose of the atonement,
Totally.
you know, and like, and maybe that's now, maybe it's not, but I think God expects you to keep trying.
Yeah. And I think like a danger zone would be if our kids think that trying no longer matters because they've failed too many times or because that, you know, they can't measure their progress in a certain window of time that they think they should be able to do better in, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a principle of parenting that I've really tried to teach my kids, like, hey, success isn't getting there. Success is continuing to turn back to the way that you want to go.
Yeah.
The other thing that I hear in this question is just a little bit of this like idea that kids are looking for excuses to not try.
Yes.
You know? And I think that when we assume that our kids are just looking for like, how do I toe the line or how do I get away with bad behavior, then they live into that,
Yeah.
you know? And the more we can like latch on to like where our kids are trying and like, hey, I see you are doing so much good in this area. I had a conversation with a mom whose son is like about mission age, but he's like, I don't want to go on a mission. I don't think that's for me, you know? And she's like, but you know, he's such a good kid. He comes home and he asks how he can help me out with things and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, isn't that awesome? As if as parents, we can help our kids see their own goodness and then say like, if you latch on to what God is inviting you into, this covenant path or like this way of using your sexuality, like you'll be that much more powerful and capable, right? And so if your mindset is stuck on this, like, oh, my kid's just looking for an excuse to have sex, right? Help divert that and believe better in your kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like, I love it. Like, look for the area in which they are trying to become more godly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think that really is like freeing for a parent's mindset and for a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Awesome.
How to share that mistakes are okay, not shame them without making it seem like nothing matters.
Oh, we just did that one.
Yeah, I want to hit it one more
Okay.
time just because
All
I think like honestly, like this is kind of a football saying, but like that a loss isn't a loss if it's learned from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that like that is an awesome message to send with mistakes, where it's
Yeah.
like, look, like like this is a slip if it's learned from.
Yeah.
You know, now if this is just like I'm quitting, if a loss makes you quit, then you just got defeated.
Yeah.
You know?
That's different.
And so like I think like again the focus here is refocus and try.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if that refocus and try can happen in the small areas, then the big areas don't really happen. You know, like my goal is to tighten my pride cycle. You know?
Yeah, be
Instead of
quicker
having to
turnaround.
be these, let's try to like bring this into a, like, I get prideful every day, you know,
Yeah.
every hour. Let's like try to bring that back as quick as possible.
I
you
love
know?
that.
Yeah. And that like, and that's my goal for my kids too, is like that we are consistently making efforts to try to become more godly. And that I think will hedge a lot of the pain from major,
Yeah.
slips, whatever you want to call them.
I think that too, like where this looks in sexuality is that like, we help them see that like, hey, just in the same way you're learning how to treat your brother with kindness and patience, you are learning how to handle sexual feelings and desires in a godly way.
Yeah.
And that like that inherently is going to have mistakes. And if you think you just aren't making any mistakes because you're not having sex, then let's like rethink about that again. Like, let's think about how we can think about sex in a godly way. And so putting them on the parallel of like, this is the same thing that we do with other aspects of our godly growth.
Yeah. I love that. Like, honestly, like that hits me with a lot of power, you know, just cause like, honestly, as a parent, like it kind of gives you an idea that like, look, if you think your kid is sexually mistake free, like you weren't involved enough.
Yeah.
You know, because they like, it's part of the learning process and mistakes should be happening.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then you aren't aware of them.
Right.
And then probably your child's not aware of them either, which means they aren't working on them.
Yeah. And then they can't be the choosers that they really need to be.
And then they aren't really going to actually have a moment to work on it until it gets far enough that they kind of hit a rock bottom a little on some level, whether that's some more serious pornography use or it's a sexual choice or whatever it is, you know? And like, if we can help them identify these mistakes or misguidance of my sexual desire and thoughts earlier, that's how like long-term success is found.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, we're really grateful for this list too. Like we're grateful for these individuals that chose to
great
participate.
Questions.
Yeah, and we hope that this like helps individuals as they like look forward in their like trying to help their family become more godly, especially in the sexual realm.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for joining us for this discussion today. We hope it was valuable for you and your families. Our website, trueconnectionsrecovery.com, has a bunch of resources that you can access to get support from us.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we're trying to help individuals, right? Whether it's through like individual recovery, like partner support, even like parental support, like how can I set my home up as a place for success?
Yep. We will be putting like technology management resources, other educational tools, or like workshops that might be up and coming in the area.
Just trying to provide ways for like families to feel supported, right? And so all of that you can find there on that website.
The more that this gets shared, and like as you talk about it with others that you know, like the discussions kind of flow, and we can all grow in this area together.
Yeah, we really succeed as a community.
Yep.
Thank you.